Good morning, guys, and welcome to today's morning video. Trust you are well. Right, let's have a little look at Wall Street. As you know, I was looking at this very closely yesterday. I think James is very unlucky with his little short play at 10,400. But as it stands, you know, it depends how you want to follow the strategy, etc. You know, clearly a lot of sellers came back into this market later on. And for me now, I think it's getting to the point of, you know, a little pullback, and then I need to be looking for a short in Wall Street. I think James is going to actually keep you up to date with this, but I myself is definitely going to be looking for a short. Okay, I don't see this really returning back above the daily 20, above this sort of 10,300 level. So if I take a position just before that, I will keep you posted. But I'm definitely looking for further weakness in Wall Street. Okay, so with that in mind, I should technically be looking to buy some dollars and buy some yen across the board, and that's exactly what I've done this morning. If I just have a quick look at euro dollar to start with, I'll just show you exactly where I've taken a short. 122.70 is the short level. Okay, so we've had this big move back up again. I'm not saying that it's going to retest these absolute lows again, but I do believe that we could start seeing a little 50%, 61.8 retracement of that first move. You know, it's now back below a weekly pivot, back below the daily 20. Let's just put this on an hourly chart. And as you can see from here, let's just move that CCI up. We are now sitting below the daily 20, below the daily pivot, and below the 4-hourly MAs, etc., etc. So what I'd look for, I'm not saying it's going to fall off straight away, but what I would like to see, obviously over the next 5, 10, 20 hours or so, then we get the golden cross come back in to this market. So we actually have the 4-hourly MAs officially in a downward trend and clearly below a daily 20. So I don't really want this daily pivot and daily 20 to break to the upside. My stop loss is above the 4-hour 20, up at 25, which is above that trend reversal, that hourly. So I do foresee maybe a little bit of a retracement, but again not huge. And I do think there's definitely potential, as I said, to start retesting these sort of in the 120 region. Okay, so I've got what have I got stop loss wise? I've got about 50-55 pip stop loss on that. Okay, so all my resistance is above me now. I like to trade with the daily 20 personally. Now it's above me. Now I want to see that 4-hourly golden cross. Then in my book we have the 4-hourly trend agreeing with the daily trend, and we look to hold it with the 4-hour 20. Okay, for me it's just about getting into the trades and then use that 4-hour 20. You know how effective that 4-hour 20 is. Once you're in the trade, then you can manage it. Okay, right, let's have a little look at cable. Now, I spoke to Mr. Piggott yesterday. We were just talking about this, and just look at this daily chart, guys, and it really is a reflection of what it's like, you know, to trade, you know, in this market. It's about finding a market that the daily MAs agree with the 4-hourly MAs, that agree with, you know, all the MAs. Yeah. So you can see here, when did we have a cracking time trading cable? Was when it's in a downward trend, when you've got perfect MSX trades with the daily 20, weekly 20, etc. You know, the daily charts were just perfect, and there were nice shorts. The only 2 months we've had it tough in cable is that month there, where there was no trend, and there's absolutely zero trend as we stand. There's no way you can possibly say we're in an uptrend. There's no possible way that you could argue that we're in a downward trend. There is no trend in cable, so again pretty much impossible in my book on a daily chart to take a position. I need to see what? I need to see, you can see the weekly pivot popped above the monthly pivot there, but when did it come good again? When it broke back down again. So maybe we're leading into the last quarter of the last week of the month. You know, we start a new week at the start of next month, I should say, beginning of July, back below that monthly pivot. That would then be a good setup for a short with a weekly pivot above us, monthly pivot above us, etc. Like that, the whole market, like you and me, gets geared up for looking for shorts, and you can see big moves. Now, I'm still a believer that cable's going to move lower, but again, as I said, there's no point really thinking about it. I need the chart to back that up. So until it really shows me signs I can short, then I have to remain on the fence and just watch this for the time being. If I think that dollar strength is going to come back in and yen strength is going to come back in, shall I be shorting cable right here, right now? Well, following my strategy is absolutely no. You know the reason why I didn't sell cable yesterday was because of a monthly pivot, 4-hour 50 and daily 20. Again, ignore them if you wish, but for me, I like to, this one, I did decide to get aggressive one, and clearly I lost on that one going south. So again, I just decided on this one. I'm not happy selling into massive MAs and pivots, etc. So I'm going to have to be patient with this setup, and this setup just, for me, isn't quite there yet. If we get a nice silver cross and then a golden cross below this weekly pivot, then yes, for the third time of a retest of the daily pivot, the monthly pivot and daily 20, I might then decide to maybe get in on a 1, 2, 3 below the weekly pivot. But that's about it. Once you know that daily 20 starts to turn back down again, and you get the golden cross down here somewhere, in fact, let me just lay one of my little rectangles somewhere in that vicinity there, you've got to start thinking to yourself, right, the bars are definitely getting tired. Weekly 20 we know is just above us. We know we can't go any higher. This has got to start moving back down. So I will look to get in early, hopefully, on a 1, 2, 3 below that weekly pivot and a golden cross. Okay? So that's cable. Now, Aussie dollar. Do you want to short it looking at that? Made a very high, much a higher high. You've got a weekly pivot in front, monthly pivot. Quite similar to cable in a sense, but technically pretty awful chart in my opinion. Arguably that's still, you're above the daily 20, above, there's a lot of support below, and from a daily chart I've got no interest going short of that. If anything, you should be looking to buy off the daily 50 and the daily golden cross, to be honest, just below. So with that in mind, I know on the hourly chart, actually to be honest, the hourly chart, there is now that silver cross into that. So we've seen this a couple of times. These either do work out very well, or they clearly don't, and you lose, and you wonder why we took them into 4-hour 50. So I think I've done the right thing by choosing euro dollar over Aussie and cable. Cable, as I said, is above all the 4-hour trend. Aussie is above the 4-hour trend. The only currency which isn't above the 4-hour trend is euro dollar. So I've traded with the 4-hour trend, with the daily trend, with the pivots, everything. I think I've chosen the right currency out of my 3 pairs on Aussie dollar, euro dollar and cable as a better technical setup. Okay, so I'm only 7 pips up or whatever it is. Let's just see whether it can hold it. And I'm looking to hold this for the medium term, and I'm going to hold it with that 4-hour 20 for as long as possible. Okay, guys, so that's how it stands for now. Let's just have a quick look at Wall Street. Very keen to arguably, if I'm to short that reasonably close to here, even with a tight stop just above the daily 20. You know how strong that daily 20 can be, but I'll keep you posted with that. But obviously I would love that to fall off now, because that means euro dollar will then collapse, which will be very handy indeed. Okay guys, I'll speak to you later on. Take care. Bye for now.